So hi, Ian.
Hi, Andy.
So we're doing a session, and this is Ian, and I'm Andy, and we are going to do a normal session. And I've never done a session with Ian. I think he did our training ages ago, but didn't even do it with me. So that makes him a relatively unusual being. So anyway, here's what I'd like us to do, Ian. I want us to just take a moment, and if you like, you can close your eyes, and we're just going to pause and shift our attention sort of from up and out to down and in, and just enjoy breathing. And on the in-breath, it's like opening up through the crown of the head. It's like opening to life. It's opening to the vibration of life, that animating force, which would be light or a tingling or a heightened vibration coming in through crown of head and filling us. And it's really, when we open to that, it's like opening to all of life. It's opening to everything that's here, and we just see where our attention is going. And then on the out breath, you can just let go of whatever tension there is, so you can just be present with whatever is. And then the only other thing I would invite you to do is, as you're breathing as deeply as you can into the diaphragm, if you can get there, just bring your attention down your legs, all the way through soles of feet, sort of like you're a tree. So you're really centered and grounded and rooted, sending down roots and holding and being held and receiving whatever you need to sustain you, to nourish you, to nurture you, right up through the soles of the feet. So you have everything you need, filling your whole being. And then I just invite you, even if you thought you know what you want to talk about, to just take a moment and just be present with whatever's here and see where your attention goes when you just really open to life and being aligned with life and whatever you know is true for you, whatever feels important to share, if anything. And a little higher up in the center of the chest, if you could have anything that you really desire from our time, and anything you desire, even if you're not sure it's possible, what you would really aspire to or intend to get from the time, so you have exactly what you are intending. And then the final thing I would say is, when you're sharing whatever that is, just speak slowly enough that it's like you're listening to your own words. It's like you're sharing with yourself, like a deeper part of you is sharing through you and with you. So you're really listening to yourself share. And I'll be here with you, and you can share whatever is important and whatever you would really desire. And when you're ready, you can do that.
Yeah, two things. What I noticed was when I went to my heart, I felt sadness about my relationship ending and or changing, because we're in the separation phase after being together for 16 years. And so I felt that sadness, which surprised me, and not surprised me, but was there. And then the thing I was thinking about was, in my gut, I sort of felt more sort of anger, and I was like, okay, well, I want this in a way to be finished, so I'm not angry. I suppose I don't mind being angry, but it's just like I'm just a bit angry all the time. So, but it feels quite good to be angry. It feels quite energizing. Mm-hmm. So I guess I don't want to be tied in with my wife, because she's obviously moved on to someone else, and I don't want sort of the pain of that to be affecting me all the time, and I don't want to be angry with her all the time. And yeah, I guess when I feel down in my gut, it's sort of anger. So I just want to see if there's anything there that I can, that that's holding me back from moving on and going on to the next thing, really. And part of the next thing is obviously having a different relationship with her, but I don't want to be in this position where I've dismissed her or cut off from her or othered her in some way, which I think is quite easy for me to do. And it reminds me very much of how I used to be with my mother. I was angry with her all the time and withheld. I didn't want to communicate with her and didn't have much patience with her and got cross a lot. So I feel some of that similar stuff is happening.
Okay.
I'm happy for that to be not very clear, but I'm also, it's quite a lot there.
All right. So what I'm going to do is you and I are going to become a team, and I'm going to muscle test surrogately for you. Okay. I just really, in the same way, because the work that I invite you to tune into a body sensation and become it from the inside out. It's sort of like you're a body sensation to life. And so I tune into you, like if I can get, broad enough, I can tune into you just the way that you would tune into a body sensation. And it's like I become you from the inside out as best I'm able to. And then I just start muscle testing you in the same way that if you had, when you focused on not the anger that was setting boundaries, but anger that felt like it was compulsive, you'd feel a discomfort and then you could become it and let it share. And I just do the same thing. Okay. And if there's anything you want to ask, you can obviously go for it. And, but we'll become a team and we work on whatever we're told. And that's how it works. Okay.
Okay.
So here's how it will look. I just make my body into a pendulum. So I just say, show us a yes, and my body just moves on its own. Show us a no, it just goes backwards. Show us a yes, show us a no. And then it's like if I now said, I'm focused on you, if I say my name is Ian, it will say yes. If I say my name is Andy, it will say no, because I'm so, in the same way that you would become sick to stomach, I'm now Ian. Because Ian is to life as sick to stomach is to Ian, so to speak. So I'm now Ian, but I'm a dense energy too for life. So.
Good.
All right, so here we go. So we're going to just make sure we're all set first, and I'll explain the questions because I don't know when you've lost use this protocol or anything, so I don't know where you are. So I will just explain whatever I ask. So first thing we ask is, are we fully in healing presence? And that says yes. And healing presence is just the aspect of soul that helps us to become whole, become who we truly are. Are we simply balanced? And that says yes too. And I saw you just drank some water, and simply balanced means our bodies are ready to do work, of which the most important thing is to be hydrated. So you may be stuck in anger or whatever, or really enacting your mother, but at least you're hydrated enough. So we're getting a little as we can get. Are we fully checked in? And that says yes also. And that just means you've said everything you need to say to bring yourself fully here, and everything I need to hear so I can be of service for healing. That's all that. So now we start. And we're going to first start and see if you know what to do, because we always ask if you know first. So we're going to say the one we call Ian, which right now is going to be you and not me. Do you know the very best way to proceed? And we ask you, and it says no, which is usually the case, because if you knew the best way and knew what to do with this, you wouldn't have been getting in touch with me. So that makes sense. So I'm going to find the best way. So we're going to do what I would call healing. Is there anything else to do? Are we to do a standard balance? So we're going to do a standard balance. And all that means is something, in fact, is out of balance. It's not like your anger is like just setting a boundary for you when you're like at choice, for example. It means that there's something more going on, like you and your mother or whatever. So you're not able to be fully present with something because you're stuck someplace. That's all this means. Okay.
Feels like that. So good.
See, it works out. Isn't it great when how it is and how it feels all lines up, because you have to have fun in therapy until you don't, so it's like, well, anyways, let's find out. So we're going to do a standard balance. So you have a highest intention, and your highest intention is what we're to do. And your highest intention is that any, some, or all of what you said. And it says very clearly, nothing you said, including about your mother, is the most important thing to work on. That's interesting. Even though nothing you said is your highest priority, the most important thing to work on, can we choose to work directly on any, some, or all of that nonetheless? And it said no. And there's usually only one reason for that, which we will find out. There can be more, but it's usually because of this. Is the reason we can't work directly on anything you said is because they're symptoms of a deeper intention, or to put it differently, there's something underlying all of this stuff, some kind of theme or pattern, and it's affecting everything you said and other things also. And so it's therefore more important, it's underneath it, and it's affecting everything you've said, including your mother and other things too. So that's why we can't work on this directly, because it's just, these are just symptoms of something else that's affecting these things and other things also. And that's a very strong yes. So we're going to give you something that will help, should affect everything you said about you and your wife and you and your mother. And it's going to be some kind of theme. Let's see if you could find it. So, because who knows? So could the one we call Ian, which is you, could you go inside and you find it and we ask you? So here's your next problem. You see the symptoms, but you don't know what the underlying theme is. It's like, I'm sitting here, it just snowed here. It's like if there was water, my relationship with my mother and not letting go of my wife, my anger, whatever, and there are all these waters coming down. And I didn't know that there was an ice dam in my gutter. So I take care of the water, it would all come back, and it's affecting all those things you said and other things too. And we have to find what that ice dam is, or there's a crack in the foundation of all the houses you want to build. We have to find the crack. And it says, you don't have a name for that, so I'm not going to ask you, because that's called not being fair. So I'm going to find it for you. So do I find it intuitively? And I don't know it either, so I'm going to have to find it on a list. So I'm going to find it on the list. So we're looking for a pattern. Are we looking for one made up of one? Are we looking for one made up of more than one or more than one? So we're only looking for one theme. Like, it won't be neglect and betrayal, or it'll only be one thing we're looking for, okay? And it's one sort of universal theme, sort of mythic. All right, so let's find out. Is it a standard pattern and a standard form in life-centered therapy? Is it some other kind of pattern, like a Jungian archetype, for example? So it's standard in this framework. There are 3 categories. I don't know if you remember this, but if you do, great. If you don't, doesn't matter, because I do. So it should only be one of them. Let's find out. Is it single center? No. Is it major energetic? Yes. Is it identity? No. So a major energetic pattern just means that you've had some kind of trauma around a theme, and it means you believe things you know aren't true. You won't let yourself feel some feeling, and you're not choice about expression, and it's created some kind of boundary problem. So, for example, you want to be able to let go and you can't. That'd be a boundary problem, right? Yeah. All around one theme. And it's going to be a reenactment of that theme. It's not like a way of protecting yourself. So it's not the protection that's the problem. Like sometimes, you come in with a problem and it's really not the problem. It's a way you make sure you don't feel something worse, right? But this is going to be a reenactment of the theme itself. So let's find out what it is. Is it in the material realms? Yes. Is it in the non-material realms? No. All that means is you can experience the theme in that story through your 5 senses. That's all it means. Not like somebody put a curse on you and, you saw the result of it, but you didn't know they actually did it. This is going to be someone hit you or cut off your head or you betrayed them or something. Find out what it is. So we get to the right answer. I'm going to go backwards. Here we go. Split? No. Multiple? No. Neglect? No. Grudge? No. Death wish? No. Dead parts? No. Wounded? No. Double bind? Okay. The double bind. So if everything in the universe were to work on a double bind, okay, I'm going to explain a double bind to you. Have you ever heard, I don't know your background well enough.
Yeah, I'm remembering these as you go through them, and it's quite useful to hear you explain. It's very useful to hear you explain them.
Well, let me explain to you what a double bind is, because it's really kind of a virulent thing. A double bind is when you want something, right? And if you don't get it, you're going to be unhappy. But if you do get it, you're going to be even more unhappy, and there's no way to communicate about the process. I'll tell you what I mean.
Yeah.
Let's suppose you're a toddler, okay? And your mother puts her arms out. This is the classic by Bateson. Your mother goes like this, I don't know if you can see me, and puts her arms out like saying, hug me. And you go into your mother's arms or your father's arms. We're not going to be gender oriented here. And you can feel their body freeze, so that there's 2 different levels of communication. One is more conscious. They put out their arms, but the other is more subliminal. And you respond because getting this hug now means that your parent doesn't love you because they froze, and you believe that means they don't love you, which is even worse. So, of course, what you do is you back away, and then they say, what's the matter? Don't you love me? That's a double bind. So, and there's no way to communicate about it. If you could say, no, that's not the problem. The problem is you put out your arms to hug me, and when I came in, right, to you to receive the hug, you froze. So I know you really didn't want to hug me. So go look at yourself, because you believe if you said that, they would slug you or something, and that's not possible. So you have to like buy their reality, at which point you become stuck. You either become crazy or you become paralyzed. And then people say, what's the matter with you? And what's the matter with you is that you're getting these different messages that are on different levels, right? And you're responding. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense.
Good, because I don't know your life at all, but it says that's why you're stuck here. And that would say that some of your anger is impotent rage. It's like a kind of powerlessness, like something is wrong in the state of Denmark, but there's nothing much you can do about it because you feel like you're in a one down place, like somebody, your perception, real or imagined, is that that person has power over you and they get to name what reality is almost. And so, and that keeps you stuck there. It keeps you angry, but like unexpressible anger. And mainly it makes you feel crazy, or it makes you feel like you can't make any movement in any direction. Am I making sense to you?
That is making sense. And my body feels really grounded when you start talking about that. You know, it's like I'm really glued to the chair, which I think is good.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So what we now know is some of the things that you're talking about here and why you're sort of stuck and you can't move on has to do with something about this. And that has something to do with your mother also. It may have started with your mother. It may have started someplace else. But part of why you had this kind of push-pulley relationship, and not being able to move on, you say, whatever's holding me back from moving on, and wanting to dismiss her, and withdraw, but you're still stuck, right? It's going to be this pattern where you want something, like you may want to have closeness or whatever it is, and you say, no, this isn't closeness. They're not going to give me what I want, but they're not going to ever cop to it. They'll demand something of me, or they won't provide me what I need, but they'll be smiling faces or something, but I'll know underneath it isn't true, and we can't even talk about it. That's what.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds very familiar.
Well, bad, but we can do something about it, because that's apparently what you're bringing to the situation, and we have to heal that. Okay, so that's it out of everything. Do we have to name? Sometimes you have to name what those things are, but sometimes if you can feel it in your body, you don't even need to name it, because you'll discover it. We don't even have to name it. So all we know is you want something. If you don't get it, you're going to be unhappy. But if you get what you think you want, it's going to be even worse. And you're going to feel like you're in a one down place, and there's no way to talk about it. And you're going to feel paralyzed or nuts. Okay. That's all we know so far. Clear?
Yep.
Good. So that's it out of everything. And we don't need to find the what you wanted or what you didn't want or anything yet. That'll all become clear if you drop in. Okay. So we don't need to know anything else about the particulars. We'll find it. Okay. Is interesting, which I will say to you is not standard. It's not unusual, but it's typically you need more clue. But apparently you feeling grounded the way you'll find everything about this, and we'll transform it. All right, so that's it out of everything. It's worded exactly correctly. Yes. Do we have to refine it? No. Do we have 100% permission? And we're just to work on that blocked intention. Is there any other steps we're to do? That's where you're stuck. It says that's the most important thing to do out of everything. And we have 100% permission. We're done with that part. We're going to work on that directly. That means you don't need any more clues. The next thing you get information about story. So they want you to have some kind of information. So we're looking for a narrative and a root cause. We're looking for one of each. So this crystallized in a moment. It's like that moment where you didn't get the hug. And then you've been playing it out ever since. So we're looking for a particular moment. Let's find out where that moment is. Does it originate? Oh, well, one of the reasons that it's not about your mother is it doesn't originate. It's not something that happened to you. So does it originate in your lifetime? It says no. So what that says to me is this is a theme that you could say is a core theme in your life. You've been trying to work out, and it isn't about you and your mother on that level. You're playing out with your mother echo of something worse. where you ended up getting killed for all of this, or, whatever. So even the thing with your mother is not going to be where it crystallized. It's going to be just trying to help you remember something from some other lifetime, and we're going to find out what that is, okay? You still with me?
Yeah, I'm totally with you.
And is other lifetimes okay with you? I assume.
Totally okay with me.
Let's find out. There are two kinds of let's find out if it's a past life. Could be something else. Is it a past life? So it's a past life. Is it It's not genealogical. It means it's not your bloodline. So it means it's not your grandmother on your mother's side, for example. It's not genealogical. And so soul comes through blood. It comes through energy. So it's going to be probably karmic. So it's karmic, which means that it's you, like, this is your belief structure, it's you in another lifetime where you've been reincarnated from, and you're living out an echo of something that happened to you in this karmic life, okay? So far, so good? Yeah. So you're not going to tell me a story so far about you or blood relatives, but you could be anybody, gender, you can even be an animal if you like, but you are not going to be you, and you're not going to be your blood relatives. That's all we know so far. Let's see if you need any more clues, which would be when it took place, where it took place, it's who, what, when, where, why, how, and or if you know the story. You need no more clues, okay? So all you needed, because less is more, all your soul wants you to know is you're reenacting, you're reliving something from another lifetime, and it's karmic. So we're going to get there through a sensation. The best way to do this is through a body sensation. The other way is through trance, but no one really falls for that. So we do it through a body sensation, anything deepen, amplify, set up, or transpersonal. And all that means is you can do this in any position you like. Most people like to sit and keep their eyes closed, but it says you can do it any way you like. And it's a story about you. It's not you as empathing somebody else's story. You're going to be the main character, and it's going to be something that you experienced. All right. So, any practices to find now? So we don't need to find anything to prepare. I'll check again later, but right now it's saying whoever this is saying they just need right now to share their story. Let's find out. Are you fully in state, which means it's fully available? And it says yes. So here's what I'd like you to do. We know that everything you said is relevant because it's an echo of something else. But the thing that's most relevant is this whole thing. I really wanted something. It feels really important. And if I don't get it, it's going to be bad news. But paradoxically, if I do get it, it's going to be even worse. The thing I think I wanted. And I'm going to feel like I'm in this one down place, and there's no way to talk about it. So it's almost like I have to buy into their reality, even if it makes me paralyzed or crazy. Now, all I want you to do, close your eyes. Someone else is here, and you're getting traumatized right now, which means if you scan your body and fully allow this experience you're having, you want to feel something empty, queasy, pressure, heaviness. So scan your body, pain, numb, lightheaded, and just tell me what you're noticing as we're allowing all this.
So what I'm noticing is a tightness in my chest around the level of my heart, and it feels like and then it feels like something's going down my arms, and the outside of my arms down to my little finger, and it feels like something's moving.
Good.
And the feeling I get and the image I get is of sort of anguish, and it's of someone who's anguished over a loss.
That's right. Stay with it. Just be this person from the inside out, like you are. Like, play this role. You feel it. It's really strong muscle test. There's anguish over a loss. Stay with it.
And someone has lost something, like a child or something like that, and they're blaming themselves for it. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I don't know whether it was multiple things I'm seeing, but it was like a child was lost, or a life was lost at sea, or someone was killed in a raid or something like that.
If you stay with that sensation, you'll know exactly what it is, because everything you're saying, you're right. You're in the right place. So you just be this person from the inside out, like you're an actor in the role, and you'll know exactly what happened. And trust what you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just tuning into what I'm feeling. Now I feel the back of my head, and when I put my attention on that, the picture I get is of someone being hit around the back of the head with a club.
Yep.
Across my shoulders, there's pain, which is the anguish, and and I feel also that just all the talking about it is putting it outside of me almost. Not that it is outside of me, but I'm not it as much as I possibly was.
Yeah.
There's also a bit of a feeling of relief of that sort of finding this. Mm-hmm. And there's a sort of slight jitteriness in my body of, like, I'm afraid as well. And just this feeling of, like, wanting something and knowing you couldn't get it, and wanting to fix something or make something right. And you couldn't because it was too late. You know, the person you wanted to had been killed, and I was incapacitated in some way.
Stay with it. You want something so much, and
there's like this image of someone on the ground reaching for something that couldn't get it, physically couldn't move. And yeah. It feels like I'm sort of releasing something. I can feel my heels on the ground. My feet are hot, especially around the heels. And my body's a little bit shaky. In the legs as well. And there's sort of twitchiness to it, as if I'm releasing something. Before we started, there was an apprehension, and now I feel like that has dissipated. Yeah. Or maybe that, I don't know if I need to do any more. Maybe I've got the whole story, or enough of the story.
I'll check for you. Because I'm going to check and see. I don't know if I need to do anything more. That may be you, but it also may be this person in the story, which would be a great thing. Because it probably was a story where that person felt like they needed to do something more, to try to do something, but they could never do it. And maybe that was what was even worse than seemingly getting what they want. So that would make sense. It probably was, that was them saying that, actually. That wasn't you. That's interesting.
Say that again?
That was not you saying that. That was them. When you say, maybe I don't need to do anything else. Maybe I have the whole thing. I don't need to do anything more. That wasn't you, that was them.
Oh, yeah.
Which is probably why you're feeling some sense of relief.
Yeah.
Because they're saying, maybe I can be at peace about all this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I'm sort of thinking about that story, and it was as if the person knew they'd made a mistake and they couldn't fix it.
That's
right. So it was this incredibly painful thing. Oh, I did something wrong and now I can't fix it, and it's so painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my guess is if we needed to, my guess is that the reason that they did this wrong thing and made a mistake was there was something they really thought they wanted, and when they went for it, they realized it was a really bad idea, and then they couldn't fix it, and they couldn't do anything about it, and it was almost even an unnameable thing, probably, because that would totally fit the double bind, you know.
Okay.
Let's find out if you have the whole story. We ask you the muscle testing. So first of all, you have the whole story. It says you do have the whole story. Do we need to know exactly what, the thing that was wanted that you didn't get in the story, or the worst thing that happened? We don't have to spell it out. Okay. Let's find out if that person needs any practices. They don't need any practices, so you just apparently.
Wow.
So we have the whole story, and there are no more practices. That's pretty cool. You release something all on your own, because usually there is a practice that goes with this pattern, but it says you don't need it. Let's find out. Do we have to make any connections between that and the original things you came in with? It says we don't have to make any kind of explicit connections between this story and your current situation with your wife, or your situation with your mother. Somehow or other, this will transform it, and we don't have to make it explicit for whatever reasons right now. Okay? You can if you like, but you don't need to. Let's find out if you balance the original intention. You balance the original intention 100% on all levels. That's really strong. Shall we check the levels separately? No. Shall we check the intention? No. Shall we check your field? All right, here's how we're going to know. You know that tightness you had in your chest right here? See how that feels now.
Yeah, there's a sensation right in the middle, a little bit of pressure. But it's not like this binding thing across my chest.
Mm-hmm.
So that feels different. Yeah.
And what about that whole thing that was going down your arms? See if that feels different also.
Yeah, that flow has faded. It feels like it's lost its intensity.
Yeah.
I'm aware of my little finger still. And around my elbow. So it feels like something is still there, but it feels like it's sort of smoothing out, or not so intense.
That's because it is smoothing out and not so intense. That part will take care of itself. Okay. The thing in your arm is it's just gonna echo away. I'm gonna check what's left here. Tell me one other thing, and I'm going to check for you, because it says to ask. Your sense, in the beginning, you said I had this real sense of anguish because of a loss. See if that feels any different right now. If that anguish doesn't feel like so much there, that deep anguish. Hasn't changed.
No, I don't feel that strongly. But I have to say, I remember when I first got together with my wife, we had a period of a year or something. And then because there was a big age difference, we sort of separated for a bit. And that was incredibly painful for me. And I would describe it as anguish over a loss.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had this big hole in my heart that she'd been filling. And one of my goals was to go, well, obviously I wanted to be with her because it felt so good that that hole in my heart got filled. But also one of my goals was to go, well, I want to feel that myself as well.
Uh-huh.
And although, so there wasn't this time when things changed, there wasn't the same anguish there, although I was really sad about, losing a friend and the intimacy and all that stuff. Or I haven't, I'm still going to be connected with it because we've got 3 kids, but there was more sadness than that anguish I had before.
Well, my guess is there was still an overlay of that anguish, but my guess is if you just pay attention and be curious, you'll just notice a difference. But I'd be skeptical, but just check.
Say that about being skeptical again. I didn't quite get that.
Well, I think there was still a level of anguish that was there, that was this story about this loss.
Yeah.
Feeling like you had gone for something, that getting it, you wanted it, but when you got it, something worse came out of it. And I have a feeling that's just going to be not there. And I think that'll take care of the rest of your anguish. But you'll just notice if you notice a difference. All right, let me see if they want us to do anything more here. So can we find out, you still have a little bit of that dense feeling in the center of your chest?
Yeah, across the top of my chest here, it feels like it's always been there, it feels like. Probably has.
Yeah. I'm going to check about that. Okay, you're part of this or you need something. Nope, you're in the next layer. No, you're something more. Oh, it has something more to share with you. So I want you to bring all your attention to that dense energy across the chest. Just choose to become it, like an actor. You're going to choose to become dense. That's your new name, dense energy across chest. So you want to be it from the inside out, that's who you are. And you're just going to say, what more have you come to share, dense energy across chest? And you just say whatever comes.
I don't, I feel like there's a cry of anguish there. I don't want to do it. I don't want to make this, I don't want to cry out. Because that's the picture I had, is this crying out of anguish. I really don't want to do it. I don't want to do that. It's just like, okay.
Yeah. There's a crying out of anguish, but I don't want to do it. That's right.
And it reminds me of, it's really hard for me to sing, and it's really hard for me to hold a tune or sing a note. And I'm sort of, my hands go into my throat here. So maybe there is something more to do with that. It's a feeling like if I say what I want, something bad is going to happen.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not allowed to say what I want.
Yeah.
Because if bad things will happen. So it's better to sort of hide or not say what you want or not say the truth.
Yeah.
Because if you do something, people don't understand or bad things happen.
That's right.
That's it. So it's all my throat and here. I want to keep my eyes shut or hide.
I don't mind at all. Keep your eyes shut. Just stay with it and see what more there is. If there's anything more tightness or in the throat, anything more you want to share, anything more about what's happening, what you're saying, I want to cry out in anguish, but I don't. I can't I can't sing. If I say what I really want to say, something really bad will happen. Is there more you wish to share about this or what's happening?
And I'm aware of my sort of first chakra area, down at the base of my spine, at the front, where the genitals are. It feels like there's a sort of shaky sensation there, which I associate a bit with fear or something like that. As if my body is sort of shaking in that area. Yeah. And it's in that area. That's the area of the masculine, which is about doing stuff.
What I'd say is become shakiness. Then you won't have to try to understand it in your head. Just become shakiness in first chakra area in the root. Say shakiness. What have you come to share about shakiness? This sort of foundational shakiness. What have you come to share?
When I put my attention down there, so I can hear a voice say, "You don't need to be afraid." It's almost like recognizing that I'm not a little kid, or there's no way I'm a kid. My dad died at the end of December, and we just had his funeral the other day. And, it was interesting to I wrote a tribute to him, and one of the things I said was that he was a kind man, which he was. And the thing I'm getting when I sort of focus down in that area is this is something to do with sort of recognizing myself as a man. And I suppose in just, I want to say owning it, but it doesn't, it's more like being it. Like somehow the masculine is, I don't know, whether the masculine is bad in some way. So it's like having to be so careful if you're a man. Mm-hmm. Not to make a mistake, There's a whole sort of level of caution and fear. Is there because it's sort of a carry on from that original thing I was talking about. I suppose I'm thinking about my dad because I think he had some of that caution. As if he would get really angry and he would not be able to control himself. So there was an element of having to never be that, always be the opposite of kind or gentle. So I'm feeling like there was some fear coming out down there. That's where my attention is going still, is down into that area. the lower part of my body, around my hips, around that first chakra, around the groin. It feels like I'm breathing down. I can feel my diaphragm moving, but it feels like it's moving right down, just almost down the bottom of my pelvis, down to where my pelvis is. Just staying with that, it feels like a shakiness down there, but it's just staying with the feeling my breathing. Having those sort of tremors almost there, where my heels again, like something's going up my heels. It feels like my body wants to shake, or like there's little tremors going through my whole body, which I associate with sort of releasing, or I think of as releasing. And then there's a sort of whole question about, is that right? Is that right? I'm asking as that happens. Which I think is part of it too. So my head is sort of saying that, something's been unblocked, and then it's having all these sort of effects of like when you knock over a block and then it knocks over the next one. So all those things all the things I'm talking about are part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just still paying attention down, my attention is still drawn down to my hips and my pelvis sitting on the chair.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's settling a bit now, like I'm getting glued to the chair again. So I feel like it's getting really grounded.
Yeah.
And the tremors are still there in my legs and mostly. It's amazing. It's just like little twitches. My body probably looks still, but it feels like it's twitching in every direction.
Yeah.
Tremoring in every direction. All across the surface. Like a releasing. When this separation thing happened last July, that was actually one of the things that happened then. I remember a similar thing of feeling like my body was all tremoring in the same way. Which I saw as a positive thing, actually. Okay, I think that's like good. I wasn't interested in controlling it and stopping it. I just wanted to help it, really. Okay. Good.
It sounds like you know something about when you can let go a little bit of the control and let life express itself without feeling like you're going to get out of control.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing. It's my intention is definitely to release and, let things move.
How's this area feeling now?
I'm sort of aware of it. It's not tight now. I'm sort of aware of my throat and that area. It feels like there's more to happen in my throat.
I think that's true.
And I don't know if it needs to happen now. Maybe it's a thing that happens, as time goes by.
Well, we can do another session.
Yeah.
If you like.
Yeah.
Let me check in, okay? Let's find out if we've heard enough from this, which we have. And the trembling down there is a release, so that seems okay. Does this feel like whatever's left of the trembling, does it feel bad, good, neutral? How's it feeling to you?
The trembling is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sort of thinking about my throat and that, and I'm wondering if I'm finished there.
Oh, you're not. Let me find out for you. Part of this. Oh, it's the next layer. Something else is coming up.
Okay.
It doesn't. It wants its own time, but come a long way in less than an hour. It's not bad. But
good.
It's like an archaeological dig. It says this is the next layer. So you can work with it yourself, or I can work with it with you. Whatever. We can talk about that. Okay. But let's see if you're done. All right. So we've done enough with this. We've done enough with the tension in chest. If there's anything more with, and this is saying it can hold on. So you don't have to. You can do it yourself. Just drop in. You can always just drop in like you're an actor choosing to play a role and let it share whatever it wants to. You can do that on your own anyway. We all can. But that's up to you. But let's not do it now because we're coming to our completion. All right. So, but you're balanced and taking care of the sensations. Let's find out. Are there any other lessons to learn? So you don't have to articulate anything else but whatever lessons you've learned. It says you've got them. You can say, okay. Ask a whole series of questions to make sure you've got this and can live differently. There are like 12 of them. We have to ask any of those? No, they're all taken care of. Do you have to affirm this? No. Is it fully affirmed? Yes. That means all parts of you are lined up and you don't need any ongoing practices or change your behavior or anything. You should just see if you feel a little freer and less constrained and more free and less like, if you are who you are, you're going to create a catastrophe. And just assume that nothing will change. And then, you might want to spend, 15 or 20 seconds at the end of every day and say, is something different about the fact that I might be able to get what I want and really get what I truly want and not have a nightmare be associated with it. And just check it out.
I think goal setting has always been tricky for me, and I do think I've continually hit a bit of an impasse when I've gone to go, well, what do I want? And if I actually get through it and name the goals, I have pretty good success. But getting to that point where you go, ooh, I want this, there's been a lot of fear and survival around.
Well, apparently that was this person, at least in part. So that should get easier.
So that sort of makes sense in terms of sort of background hum of my life. It makes a lot of sense what we worked on. It's like a deep pattern, I think.
Yeah, I think that's true. Well, it says it was a pattern for your life. Let's see if there's anything else. So you were here for help and health. Anything more for this one, for the one in the story, for all those in the family, and for all before we leave this work now. So is the work on this complete? Yes. Is it done? Is there anything else? So is our work complete for now? We're done for now. So why don't you take a second, Ian? This part's done. Just be with yourself. And if there's anything you want to say about how you are, what touched you, or what it was like doing this work, because I don't even know when the last time you've done it. So, or anything about working with me or anything about anything as a way of completion, the floor is yours. And if you just want to sit, that's fine too, whatever you
like. I just want to say thanks. It's good. The stuff you do is great, and I remember it, and it makes my heart feel full and recognized, and that there's truth being found. That's really, really good. And it's really powerful. And I remember when I first saw you do some work with someone, I felt the similar thing. I got it today with myself. So when we were narrowing in a bit at the beginning, that was really good. And I remember, all of the work I did myself in my training. And I think the thing I'd forgotten was that I've been reminded of by listening to some of your podcasts and stuff, was this thing of connecting, finding the body sensation, but also being curious about it and finding out what it has to say to you. So getting that dialogue going. And I think a lot of times I will find a body sensation and then go, okay, well, there's tension there. I want to get rid of it. And I don't have a conversation with it. It's more, I've got to fix it, or I've got to solve this problem. So that's what I was thinking was a very useful reminder, was that of just the skill of being with what's there inside you, not wanting it to change it, but seeing what it has to tell you. So I know you know that, but I'm sort of knowing it now.
I know it. You know it now. I know it better.
Yeah.
No, it's really the best way to let go of something is to say, I will fully, fully, fully choose to become it. And then I'm the one who is associated with the one who's choosing and bearing witness and holding. And if you want to get rid of it, it's like wanting to get rid of one of your children.
It's part of your story. You can't get rid of it. Yeah. You've got to know it first. So it's good.
Good. So
thank you very much. It's good.
So where would you like to go from here? We can do another session if you want, and I will cut this off from the end right here. I'll tell my person to do that. So, but if there's anything more you want to say about how you'd like to proceed, or if you want this Zoom, if you wanted, do you want us to put this out in my podcast? Do you want it not? You tell me, because you get to choose.
Can I have a little bit of time to think about that?
You certainly can. So you think about that, and if you want to do another session, because I think you have another session, I'm happy to do it with you the same way if you decide you want it on Zoom, because I'm happy to do a follow-up and you won't have to pay, or you can pay, and now that I've got you in here, you can see me if you want, because that's just the way it is.
Yeah. My first thought is that it would be fine to have it be as a published thing if you think that's suitable, because it was very much about me. And the details weren't needed of anyone else, which was good.
I think that's true. I would have been shocked if it had not been what it was. I mean, I didn't know until I know, but but you can talk about it, and I think you ought to do another session, because I think there's more work to do, but that's up to you. So if you think you want another session, you may want to set it up right now, because you can always cancel, but I'm very busy and we have each other here. So if you think there's any possibility, you might want to say, why don't we find a time right now? And then, you can always.
Yeah, I would like to do another session, and I'm thinking about in sometime in 3 weeks or something like that. What sort of time frame are you thinking about?
I am thinking about, since I'm starting a writing, actually I could do that. I could do it on February 28th if you want, which is a Monday.
Monday, February 28th. I will have to check. The reason being is that because of the time difference, I have to schedule someone to pick up some of my kids, and also I have to do it on a day when my wife is picking up the other ones, so it's all a bit complicated.
Well, so right now I am pretty much entirely free that day. I'm free 9:30 a.m. my time, Eastern Standard Time, on Tuesday. And after that, we're going into a writing retreat for 2.5 weeks. So that's why if you want it, just tell me as soon as you can, because the times will really fast go away. Just tell me one other thing, Ian, before we start. Do you do this for work? I don't even know what your story is.
Yeah. So when I did the training with Tony and Kathy, I was a teacher, and I did all the sort of sessions I needed to get certified. And then life happened. I can't remember if I had a baby or whatever. And so I continued being a teacher. Mm-hmm. And I didn't actually get to the point of being a practitioner, although I've done a lot of this type of stuff. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a good one. I just made myself another session there. But and then I retired from teaching about 7 years ago, and now a couple of the years after that, I bought an organic fruit farm. So now I'm an organic fruit farmer, and I grow organic fruit and sell it, and try, sort of have a lot of fun, make a living doing that. And I do a lot of Tai Chi and Qigong. And, so that's me now. It's fruit farming.
Well, if you ever want to do it, it's like riding a bicycle, or you can redo the training at half price, or we do it online now. So if you want to, it's there for you. And if you don't want to, it's still there for you. Anyway, this has been a pleasure. Just get back to me as quickly as you can, and I would love to do another session with you. And any way you want to do it is fine with me, okay?
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Andy.
So much. Bye. Yeah, bye-bye.
Okay, see you. Bye. Thank you very much.